we looked at some HTML tags, including the HTML tables, where we talked about the table head, table body, and the table footer. In this lesson, we're going to look at some other interesting things we could do with HTML. These include the HTML classes and the HTML IDs. Following our normal procedure of going to w3schools.com, you would see the links for HTML classes and HTML IDs. Before we go ahead, let's open our folder. We already have our training folder on the desktop. There are different ways of opening it, which we have showed in the previous lessons. Just a recall, you can open your CMD and CD to desktop, then to training folder. If I click on enter, then I'm now in the training folder. So I want to open the training folder with the code editor, which is Visual Studio Code. So we can just type in CODE, which is code, then a full stop, enter. So this is going to pull up our VS Code for that project. Now we have the files within our project. Remembering that if I open that folder on my desktop and we click on the index.html file, this is what we have based on what we did in the previous lesson. And we're going to look at how to work with HTML classes and IDs. So the HTML classes is actually used to specify a class for an HTML element. Assuming you have multiple HTML elements on your page and you want to specify a particular one, or you want to identify a particular one with a name, then this is where classes and IDs come in place. So it is actually used in most cases to point a class name in style sheet. So you can say, for example, you want to define the color of a particular H1 tag. So because it is possible that you have multiple P's, multiple H2s. So if you have multiple H2 on your page, then you can specify a particular H to have a different color, which is different from other H on the page. Let's go into the actual coding and see how this works. So I'm going to delete my table tag, which basically we don't need for this lesson. Then we already have an H1, which is saying that this is a heading. So I'm going to have a P, which is going to be the content of the P is this is my first paragraph. Now we are going to have just the same thing like that for the second one and the third one. So I'm going to say this is the second paragraph and this is my third paragraph. So if I reload the page, so that is going to show 3 different paragraphs for us. So they're going to carry the same styling, the same structure. So now if I need to specify a color for this particular P, there are different ways of adding styles. Styles is just like when you put some sort of creams or beautifier on your body. So just like I mentioned earlier that HTML is basically the skeleton of the HTML structure. But then if you need to put some designs on it, that is where we talk about the cascading style sheet, which is CSS. Now we're going to start a bit of CSS, but there's a separate course for CSS where we talk a lot about different ways of styling different things. But let me just give you a tip of the iceberg. If you in the first P that we have, we can say, okay, I want to put a style, and the style is going to be equal to, then within these 2 codes, we're going to have what we want the style for this P to be. Now let's say we want the color. That is the color. Just look at the way the color is spelled. It is C-O-L-O-R, which is different from the number C-O-L-O-U-R. Now the color, then colon. What is the color going to be? So you can just type in the name of the color, which is blue, and then I'm going to reload the page to have a blue color. That is it. Also, you can go back to the third P and say that I want the style here to be red to be red in this case, so the color is going to be red. So if I reload the page, we have the red color. So the next lesson, we're going to look at adding that particular class or div.